Working with businesses as a consulting firm and as a woman personally, I found that women have struggled in different aspects of business. We have brought together women of different backgrounds, different industries, to share their stories with us so we can learn from each other and really start to decide and decipher how we as individuals and as businesses can choose to challenge the current status quo and bias of women in the country and globally.
Aderoju. Riding off the back of what everyone has said, we've had several amazing moments, I think, but there's one that stood out in particular. But for me, it's just, so there's a quote I came across recently that says, for every child that learns how to swim, the fear of water ends with that child. So, because sometimes you find fear of water like generational. True. You just find it, passing from one person to the other in the family. So for every child that you've impacted, that you've taught how to swim, that fear of water has ended in that generation. And for me, I just, hear the little, like maybe a child that has been crying and, every time they come to the pool, no, and you just see the child, swimming and enjoying the water and building water confidence, and the mom will just be like, she's amazing, or when they win an award, or when they win but I think the biggest moment for me was when I won my grant with the African Entrepreneurship Award. I think for me it was the validation I needed to know that, because what I didn't mention was I did find a job the same week I started. I found a job as head of sales in a telco. Wow. But guess what? 6 months after I resigned.
Wow. So you started the job?
I did. I started the job, and I was, because and I think God just wanted you to go and satisfy yourself. It's not exactly, it's not as if you can't get a job, go and satisfy yourself. And then I did. 6 months later, I dropped my resignation with my boss, and he was like, are you crazy? Because it was a white man. I was like, are you, that why are you living to go and start what? Exactly. You want to be a swim instructor? Like, really? You are head of sales. You want to be a swim instructor? And I get it a lot sometimes. People like, swim is really, like how? With how you are, that kind of thing. So for me to be singled out in a pool of thousands of applications and selected to 30 and taking an all-expense paid trip to Morocco and present to bank MDs and investors, and then giving a $75,000 grant because they see the viability of the business. For me, I was just like, what? Really? As in, thank you God, because even this is even apart from, so people are like, wow, this is your business, really? And I remember coming back, because I had the same conversation with someone like, instructor, okay, that kind of and then they came back and they saw and they were like, wow, tell me more about this, your business. So what is in it? So what are you doing? So how can we, and for me it was just the validation that I needed, apart from the lives that I've been impacted.
There's something that you have said, I think both of you have said about talking to people, before you start a business. The people you choose to talk to are very important.
Dream killers.
Yeah, however, sometimes we don't know what the feedback is going to be like. Yeah. And a lot of times I've seen people struggle with, family and friends do not patronize me. Maybe they know your audience.
Absolutely.
Maybe they know your market. Yeah. They can help you in the beginning, but how many times do they buy clothes from you? How many times do they come? They don't have to be your audience.
True.
So they can kickstart the business for you, but don't depend on them.
Absolutely.
So even if they do not, buy into the idea, it's all well and good. I was talking about it with a friend recently, and we said, why is it that when you now sort of start to make it, people that know you before now want to associate with you, it's okay. And she explained something which was really apt. She said that, when people know, they know you as, say for example, they know you as Karen, they know you as their friend, somebody who they go out, relax with. They don't know you as the fashion designer. They don't respect you in that regard. But then when they start to see that the world is respecting you as that person, then they fall in line.
Absolutely.
They fall in line, which is very interesting. So it's okay if they don't believe you, but as long as you believe in yourself, because you must believe in yourself, or other people can believe in you.
Absolutely.
That one is certain. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we're going to move. We're going to move quickly. So we've spoken about, why you started, your biggest moments. Let's talk about trying times. Trying times. We've spoken a little bit, but we haven't dwelt on it. So what would you say has been the time that, one thing that happened, one event that made you want to give up? Like just say, what, I'm going to apply the next job available, off I go, I'm done. All this say that moment has been for you. Oh.
I need to get this off my chest. the truth is, every single time, you know, at some point in this journey.
Yeah.
So just yesterday, I wanted to.
You know, that's just what I wanted to say. Like, look, does every day count?
So let's just talk. You know, and honestly, having a supportive partner is so underrated.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, so I say I'm a very private person, and I have been chewed for that. You know, but I still maintain that I'm a very private person. I'm only on social media because I have seen, and I've remained on social media because I have seen the enormous value. You know, the reason why I got back to that was because I have an incredible spouse.
Wow.
The only reason why my husband is on my board is because of the immense value he brings on. You know, working in, you know, in a multinational. Now, if you see us on the board, you probably would never guess we're spouse. And then after the meeting, he says to me, "I'm sure you know that wasn't personal." I said, "Of course I knew it wasn't personal." But yes, as long as it gives value. You know, so my husband has been extremely. So he says to me, you know, you don't give yourself enough credit. I watch the way you work. I watch the way you interact with your team. I watch the way you interact with your customers. I see you building, you know, and maybe it is because I'm your spouse. So that's why you don't take it seriously when I say that you're building this business like a multinational. And sometimes I sit back and I say, okay, let me take it in. Now, you know, but there's so many frustrating moments. Now, because, you know, like, you know, she said, I literally gave this space a swish. So you have parents who say, why would I pay you a premium? What's the difference between you and my nanny?
Exactly.
So it behoves me to show you the value that you're paying for, right? Now, when I don't think I share that part of the journey. I mean, it's been an incredibly interesting journey for us. The danger of having a single client. So when we started off, you know, as an office crash after the first shutdown, and we had we had the deal with a multinational in the oil and gas industry. Now it was office crash, right? We didn't have any facility of our own, so in fact they spoiled us. So everything was given to you. You were just to, you know, bring on your expertise. You wanted water, every single thing, furnished, you know, office, and we ran that for almost 3 to 4 years. Now, in the 4th year, the company decided that they wanted to, you know, renew, you know, and throw the bid open, and then they went for cheaper. Now we had set up the structure for somebody within to bring somebody who was family to run. Long and short of the story, that was how we found ourselves out. Now, I looked across from their office and dared to take a property opposite their office and start. So that was when the baby lounge was truly birthed.
Wow.
Now, when we started out from our house, it was not the baby lounge. It was a company called Kids Now. So the vision evolved. Now, when we stepped out, we didn't step out with a single child. For months, that facility was empty. Now, I can't tell you how many times I cried and almost jumped, and I mean it, literally jumped through the window, right? It was the first floor. Because it was, you know, when you are so, so vested and you are so hopeful. We had done a fantastic job of running that crash. So it was just for everybody to pause, but it didn't happen that way. We started from ground zero. Now I made a post today of, you know, our setting. That was how we started, empty. You know, and then again without a sign. We chose not to put a sign. We chose the safety of the children over and above. You know, yes, because, you know, parents would be more comfortable knowing that nobody
can be pointed out.
knows there's anything going on here.
Absolutely. So we had to drive traffic through. So at that point, I really wanted to give up, because you would have parents who would come in. So people would come in through the door and say, oh, beautiful setup, but you're so expensive. and go back to this poor husband who was the one that I would take it out on. And he says to me, go and look at your projections. You did that projection, right? And I said, yes. He said, you can see the profit margins are so thin. You see, that was also the beauty of having a well thought out. When it's not enough to have a vision and a passion. So structure is not about size. So those are also elements of structure. So you do your projections for 9 months. This is how much I think that I would earn, you know. And I looked at the projection and I thought, and that was actually what made me not tweak the price. And it's the same price. So, you know, a few weeks ago, I also put out, you know, our cost. And it is those who truly know the value. And it is my responsibility to show you the value and to show you that you're paying for your, you know, your worth. Now, another moment when we almost threw in the towel was recently COVID. So imagine what COVID would have done to a business like us. What's the alternative? Parents won't bring their children to the crèche.
You'll be scared
to even open up.
Absolutely. I mean, it would be so irresponsible of you to even talk about opening. So we shut down. We took that bold step to shut down. And you know, the board said to me, shut down.
Really?
Yes, the board actually said shut down. And I said to myself, perhaps, you know, some of them will be watching this. Say, you have a job. You have a job. This is my job.
Yeah.
I also have a responsibility for the team of women who work with me. So we use that period to, you know, to do trainings, you know, ramp up competences. But then we also used the period to brainstorm, and that was when the virtual play date was created.
That's it.
And nobody believed that you could actually engage children, young children. Remember, these are not, you know, older, these are children less than 5, but we did it. And so now we are back to full capacity.
Fantastic.
We didn't advertise. I have never advertised the on-site crèche. Now we have another service called the in-home child minding, where we send care assistants to your home. It's a stopgap, so it's an hourly daily. So you don't keep house helps, or you know, you don't take your child to the crèche. You just want to put your feet up, or you have an appointment. You just want care for that child for an hour or 2. You have the service. We can't even meet up the demand for that service.
What does that mean? Yes, because it's that's a very interesting service. A lot of people would really need, because I mean, from time to time you need to put your feet up, plug in your ears, and just relax.
Even for those who have nannies, because nanny will tell you, oh, I'm going for offer, I'll come back on Sunday.
Exactly.
And then
I got a holiday nanny for 11 days, and my friends thought I was crazy.
So one parents who actually
they will show up.
They keep nannies, but you know, that's why we say what we do is much more than nanny care. The value that I give you, with all due respect, does not come close to what your nanny gives you. Your nanny cannot give you the kind of daily reports that I give you. Your nanny cannot detect, you know, a developmental delay. And we're trained to do that. Your nanny cannot give your child the kind of content, clear and learning content that I give you. So I have so if it is about giving up, yes, we are giving up. But you see, we are not even getting off this track.
Wow. No, we're not even going to let you give up. Because
We can't even let you go.
we need you.
If we have to take a drink of water,
deep
draw
sigh,
ahead,
I keep going.
and then we keep going.
I keep
wipe
going.
our brows
Shake
and
it
keep
off.
going.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So.
So my biggest challenge happened in 2018.
Okay.
In October of 2018, actually just a few days before my birthday, I was in a fire accident in the office, a very bad fire accident in the office. And it was as a result of someone's carelessness. And that day I was feeling very excited. And I said, okay, let me work with you guys in production. Because normally I like to bake, I like to do all those things. So I said, well, once in a while I go into production space and I work with them. And someone had left the gas open on. So there was a gas explosion and I was caught in the fire. And obviously at that point in time, my priority was not the business. I mean, at the moment it happened, I wasn't even worried at the oven or anything. Thankfully, I was the only one there. I was the only one within that space at the moment. But obviously, what was flashing before me was my life. My children, my husband, and I'm like, oh my God, is this how it's all going to end? I passed out, obviously, but there was someone around the office who could drive. So they drove my own car and just took me to the nearest hospital. And some of my staff, my team member called my husband. He came to meet me there. And I mean, that happened, and there was a long period of healing afterwards. First of all, dealing with the scars. I still carry a lot of the scars. Makeup is covering a lot of things, and clothing is covering a lot of things. Going constantly to see a plastic surgeon, seeing that, and then also going through the emotional healing. Because after that happened, I didn't step into the office for over a month. Business was still going on. People were still buying. They were still producing. But I couldn't go into the office. So I developed a huge phobia for going into the office. I couldn't go into the office for the longest time. And when I started going out, and I would go close and look from afar and then leave, and then go close and look from afar. But I had to make a decision, because I can't run an office that I can't go into.
That's true.
Right? I can't. It's not possible. So I had to decide that, am I going to let this one accident deter me from moving forward? And for how long am I going to continue like this? So I put myself on a schedule. And I was going to the office every day. And I'll stand at the door for 5 minutes, and I'll go back and I'll go.
Wow.
Yes. And eventually, when I was able to go into the office, I then now started to, I will go into the production room. There are times when I had to call my husband to come with me.
Wow.
And I feel very emotional right now.
Wow.
But I will go into the
woman.
production room. I'll stand there for a few minutes, and then I'll go back outside.
Wow.
And I kept doing that. And I have people who produce for me. I have people who bake. But I had to, and this is even something I love to do. So even after that happened, I couldn't even cook in the house. There was just that huge fear, but I kept going back. I'll go back, I'll stand for 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll just stand for 5 minutes and just touch the oven like this. And then I'll go back, and then I'll break down, I'll cry. It was hard. It was so hard to be able to move past that. But even till now, honest to God, I'm not 100% there. About 2 weeks ago, we got a new shipment of equipment from China, and we called on some kitchen equipment engineers to come and install for us. And when they were installing, I just stood outside. It's a very huge oven, industrial size capacity, and the guy was putting it on, and I was just like, this is too much. And I went, and they didn't even understand. My people didn't understand why. I was outside. After standing outside for a while, I called someone. Can somebody please bring me a chair? It's like, why are you outside? It's hot. Come inside. I said, don't worry, let me just be here. So it's still a journey. I'm still every day saying to myself, I'll stand. I'll try to put on the oven by myself. Make sure that there are people around me. But I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up on the business, and because I don't want to give up on the business, I know that I have to deal with that trauma. So every day I put myself, every day I go there. Every day I'll stand in the production room, every day I'll touch it over. Like, okay, we're doing this, and we're gonna keep doing this. So that's my biggest problem that I've dealt with.
Wow. You're such a courageous woman. Really.
I was like, I think
we should just support you as much as we can.
No C19 here. Wow, but you're brave.
Wow, that's really honest.
So brave.
Wow,
Thank you. So brave.
And you continued after. That's amazing. That's really courageous.
That's enough to actually quit.
That's enough to quit, and nobody would actually blame you.
Fear. There's no drug for fear.
There's no drug.
Tell me about it.
Okay, let's move to you, Aderoju.
Trying moments. Just like Itoro said, every moment, sometimes it's either you're looking at, so because we work out of leased pools, and you just find, you know, the unseriousness of people who you are dependent on to help you achieve a certain part of your business. And you know, you just always have to keep your eyes on the big goal. Because I tell myself, I'm like, okay, if I walk away from this, you've put too much in it, you've sacrificed too much for you to walk away now, right? If you walk away now, even for selfish reasons, what else are you going to do? Not even what else, there are other things you can do, but the impact that you've made, you know, why people know you is going to be lost. You know, I think just being an entrepreneur in Lagos, Nigeria, every day you deserve a pat on your back for surviving, for, you know, being like, we got through today, you know, because the fact that you are except it's only you doing this business, the fact that you have other people dependent on you, you know, your staff, you know, and it's been a test. Last year especially was a test for us, because I think you have to, anybody that has people, you know, it did. There are many times I'm like, you know what, I think I need to go and dust this CV and go and look for a job. Actually, I spoke to a few of my HR friends that, you know, what's going on, and I don't think they took me seriously. So which is also maybe a good testament to them being good friends. You know, they're just like, okay, no problem. What do you want to apply for? Okay, no problem, send me your CV. And I'm like, how far now? They're like, don't worry, we're working on it. But I know they're not doing anything about it. But you know, last year was a test. Last year showed me the kind of team that I had. You know, it showed me that they were in need for the long run. Even when, you know, we're not able to fully pay salaries because nothing was coming in, they stayed. And you know, sometimes some of them would even call me like, how are you? How are you really? And you know, for me, it just, you know, I don't even know what to say. It just, you know, really touched me, because I'm like, okay, my investment in them, they're putting it back in me. And you know, there's no other joy that can bring. And you know, when we're ready to, like, oh hey, we found a way to just go around this thing and make sure that we're working, they were there. All hands were on deck to just make sure that we were the best in what we're doing. And it was just, you know, anybody that can survive 2020, 2021 going forward, that you are still standing with your business, you deserve an accolade. Even if nobody's giving you one, buy yourself a placard, you know, take yourself out for dinner, just share yourself. Like, you know what, I'm doing great, and that's it really.
Wow, thank you so much. Really, 2020 was, I was going to ask about COVID and COVID. We literally answered COVID and, you know, post-COVID kind of questions. Because a lot of time when you tell businesses, oh, you need a contingency plan, they're like, what's that? You just want me to pay, but hey, the worst happened. I mean, you always think about what's the worst case scenario. Those are the kind of things I think about. Worst case, who told us that one time will come? And they will say that we should not go anywhere. We should stay at home. The entire world stand still. We will not be able to go talk to people, touch people. They will say that you're exaggerating.
Full stop.
I mean, it happened still, but we've seen the worst. Right? I think that's one of the things we can say, that that's a worst case scenario. Absolutely. But we went through it and we scaled through it. Thank God. Okay, Karen, just you to wrap up this question.
I mean, amazing stories everybody has shared. And I'll borrow your first line. I think you said like every day, like challenges every day. It's almost like challenges are I think now I'm comfortable with challenges. Now it has, challenges became so frequent in running the fashion business that they don't scare me anymore. I'm still praying to God I won't see the one that will shake me. But to be honest with you, there are very few things that will shake me right now. Do you get what I mean? Biggest challenges, or the biggest challenge. Last year was quite tough. Last year, I mean, especially for a fashion brand that currently 100% of the things we sell are things we produce. So obviously, factory came to a halt. And unfortunately, just before the lockdown, I had made massive capital investments. Fabrics, different things, because I knew that I was going to get in my head. I would get the money will come back. Come on, do you get it? Heavy. When I say heavy, you know that one that you know that your account, if you blow, you will get echo. Do you get? So I had made major investments. I was like, 2020 is our year. I'm doing this. I'm doing. Do you get? And then, surprise, surprise, you can't go anywhere in April. You can't go anywhere in April. And even though e-commerce was my strength, off the top of my head at the time, like, okay, you can't even deliver. Is it not when you can get to your office that you can deliver?
Yeah.
But guess what? In the midst of all of the fear and all of the madness, of course, I had just paid March salary, even though we didn't complete March work. People need to eat. They have families, you know. Even if they love you, I support you, ma, but how am I going to feed my family? You know, so April came and I was like, what am I going to do, you know? But I told myself, you know, after I had cried, I first of all cried. I cried. First of all, because we didn't finish March, a lot of our sales come towards the end of the month. Because we didn't finish March, we sort of almost scraped, because of all the investments I had made early March, we sort of almost scraped to pay March salaries. But after we paid March salaries, I was like, okay, so what are we going to do in April? Because April is going to come. I still have all this capital expenditure I've made and I can't get the money immediately because there's a lockdown. What am I going to do? You know, I mean, of course we had some stock, but I was like, are people going to buy? In my head, you know, I prayed about it. And in my head, I'm like, you know what's the worst that can happen? I was marketing, I was modeling, I was going on I was wearing some clothes, you know, taking pictures. My page was, at that point, there was this confusion on social media, especially for my industry. The world is in chaos and you want to sell clothes. Are you mad? You know, there was this confusion, and also I mentor a group of 250 plus fashion designers on WhatsApp. They were looking up to me for advice. I can't stop. I have to give them direction. What am I going to direct you? Wow, who will doctor the sick doctor? Sure. You know, and after spending some time in prayer, I just felt guided to keep going. The direction was don't stop. I continued marketing, but of course, I had to now adapt my marketing to the times. I wasn't marketing like, oh, buy now. I added comedy. I added, you know, I was just creative. And in the middle of the lockdown, I sold 7 figures.
Wow.
Because I did not stop. And because I saw the sales coming in, and I'm very particular about customer service. I will try our best to customer service. And as they were, before you pay, I told my staff that manages the DMs, I said, tell them that, ma'am, I hope you know that due to the lockdown, delivery will only commence after the federal government has lifted the ban on movement. And customers will say, no problem. I was shocked. Not that you're telling them you will get your dress in 10 days. Women that normally they are impatient. And I'm like, God, thank you that people are buying clothes that they don't know where they'll wear it to. We did not know what the world.
No, but we're buying.
Do you know, you guys, can we just acknowledge how crazy 2020 was?
It was crazy.
How confusing 2020 was?
Traumatic.
There was no book you could reference 2020 from. There was no video you could go and watch. Okay, what do you do in times like this?
No.
2020 was customized.
Honestly, I think that's a good word. It was a customized thing.
And here I was, just because I kept going. How do you rake in 7 figures in the middle of a lockdown?
For clothes.
How? You know, and
You don't know what is going anywhere.
so when I say that was my craziest challenge, and when I say very few things, do you know what it is not to know where you're going to pay salaries for? I mean, I'm sure you people know, but I mean, you know, there are different levels to this thing.
Yeah.
But this was a time when you didn't know when you will recover. It's different when you say, oh, you know what, maybe you're not sure, but by this
We
time,
didn't know.
the end was not in view. But yes, we conquered and we keep going.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I mean, we all went through 2020. Thankfully now we can sort of say, oh, we have come through, you know, business is coming back as usual. But it was a very difficult time. There are some industries that have not been able to find their feet till now. Some have shut, businesses have closed. Some people just closed shop, put everybody goodbye. There's nothing we can do about it anymore. You know, it was a very crazy year, very custom year, really. A customized year. Truly, I bought clothes during lockdown. I don't know why. I think we all dealt with it in different ways.
We survived it in different
Some
ways.
people just went on social media and just look for things. You know what? I need to tune off. I stopped watching news at some point. I turned off certain things. I just, you know what? I want to now go back to real life. Some people started dressing up to go for Zoom meetings.
Zoom meetings, yes.
That if that's how it's going to be now, okay, we'll still look good regardless. You know. So I mean, congratulations on your success because that was amazing.